I would like to tell you about Veronica Franco, one of Venice's best-known beautiful women. And she actually lived on this street. This street is called the Calle Franchi, because it's the plural. Franchi is plural for Franco. So this was the street that her family lived on. We don't know which house. It was somewhere along here where she lived. And I like to try and picture her. She lived at the time when women's skirts came out to here and the tight bodices up to here and the hair piled up, and I try to picture her coming down the street. I mean, her dress must have taken up most of the width. Now, Veronica Franco, you may know her because she was the subject of the movie Dangerous Beauty. And while that movie tells much of her story, there are a few inaccuracies. There's a great website. You can find out all the inaccuracies of that if you want. But I'll tell you a few things about her today. She grew up in a family of merchants, and business was not real good. She was actually married off when she was a teenager, and the marriage did not go well. She got pregnant, had a child, and there aren't many details. Apparently her husband was abusive, not real clear. So she actually had that marriage annulled. They didn't really have divorces then. And then her mother took her into business with her. The family merchant business was not very good, and so mother and daughter started prostituting themselves. Women didn't have a lot of options. If the man was not a breadwinner, often the woman would resort to this, and it was not completely unusual that the mother would teach the business to the daughter. So that's what happened in this case. In fact, there's a catalog that lists mother and daughter and the prices they charge. And this was at the very beginning of Veronica's career as a courtesan. Her price was quite low at that time, but she went on to become absolutely one of the most popular and wealthiest courtesans of her time. Now you'll notice I used the word courtesan. That was different than the meretrice or the more common whore. There were different levels. The courtesans were supposed to be what they called honest or honorable. That also meant they had a very fine education. They could converse in multiple languages. They could sing, play multiple instruments, and basically be a very talented consort and companion at all levels, intellectual as well as physical levels, for the men that they stayed with. Venice at this time had a lot of men who were unmarried, and that's another long story I won't go into here, but the courtesans filled a need within the city. Veronica, apparently from her poems and her letters and writings, enjoyed the art of love quite a bit. She has some very passionate poetry. It's wonderful to read. And she also loved learning, and she left quite a few of her letters, and so we know about her love for learning. Her very greatest desire in life was to be surrounded by intellectuals. And she got to do that by being in the literary academies because she was a courtesan. The tragedy is that she had to then, prostitute or sell her body in order to be able to be in that company. She also left one letter talking about how horrible the life of a courtesan was, that you were, giving up your body, that you were prey to violence and things like that. I mentioned that she was one of the best known courtesans. She did publish a number of writings during her lifetime. She had the help of some of her lovers who were very powerful men, and they loved her intellect and supported her very much. She also took a lot of insults at that time. And she's also known because she slept with King Henry from France when he came through the city. She does dedicate some of her poetry to him. Super multi-talented woman, beautiful. There's portraits of her that show us her heart-shaped face, her beautiful gowns, with pearl, everything. Really a remarkable woman who did the best with the constrictions of her society and flourished in so many ways.